I'm out here with Chris at Heirloom Roses today, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about pruning roses. Now, Chris, I was always under the impression that that whole President's Day was like the cutoff, but you're obviously pruning roses now.
I am. We did start actually in early February, and we're hoping to finish up by March 15th. But as you can see, with this many roses out here, we're not really unable to get them all done by that period of time.
Yeah, take an army of people to do
that. It would. So we actually continue to prune, and it's also a good time to let people know that it's still safe in their own yards. It's been so wet the last month. A lot of people just haven't made it out in their yards to do this.
True, that is true. And I know there's a lot of new growth on here.
There is, and that's okay. You're going to cut some of it off, but it's not going to hurt the plant itself. It's still going to make the plant a better plant by pruning it than allowing it just to go at this point.
And when you see, this is probably about a 4-foot bush. When you see this, what do you do? What's the principle of cutting it back to begin with?
Well, usually I start with just doing some rough cuts to get it to a manageable size. And then I start going around the bush. And what I'm looking for is, number one, is to make sure that the bud eyes are facing towards the outside of the bush. Mm-hmm. So I would go around, and ones that are pointing towards me.
And these bud eyes are these little tiny things that look like a little eyebrow that are just starting to grow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and some of them are more pronounced like this. Some may actually have leaf shoots on them, and some of them may appear as just an actual line at this point. And you just want to cut to the outside, right above it, and you want to do it at an angle so the water actually runs off the top. And by forcing them to the outside or making sure you're cutting to ones to the outside, you're making a nice round bush. If you cut them and they're facing the inside of the bush, you end up with a very cluttered, disease-filled bush.
Because they'll grow inward. That makes sense. Now, what do you do about selecting canes? Do you save them all each year? How do you go about that?
No, usually I'd go through and I would typically pick out an old cane, maybe something like this here where you've got a lot of wood on it, and remove it out of the bush.
Okay, so you're talking about this almost looks like a tree trunk versus these that are really just a smooth green.
Yes, and so every year you want to pick out maybe one of the older canes and remove it out of the bush, and allow some of these younger ones to grow up and fill its spot, give you some a little better younger cane that's going to produce more flowers for you.
Well, you certainly have your work cut out for you here at Heirloom Gardens because you have huge amounts of roses to prune back. Fortunately, I don't have so many at my house, so I can hit it this weekend. But, if you have any questions about how to prune roses, feel free to give them a call. They have like 100 years of experience between the people that work here on roses. Thank you so much, Chris, and enjoy your labors. It's a labor of love, huh?
It is. It is.